Alright, today I'm working on my 2012 Freightliner 114 SD. This is a 30-foot long rollback. The bed is rated to carry 30,000 pounds and the winch is rated to pull 20,000 pounds single line. The truck itself has 46,000 pound rear axles, a 20,000 pound front axle, and a 14,000 pound lift axle. It's a Detroit, it's a 10-speed, and it's got an engine brake. What I need to do is look into this problem I'm having with the speedometer. Sometimes you're going along and it just cuts out completely. Other times it just slows down and then it comes back. And we've got a check engine light. Also, when it does this and it cuts out completely, we have reduced power. So we're going to look into this because I need to get it fixed, and I need to go pick up at least one of the 3 trucks that I've recently bought. And this is a much safer choice, I believe, than using my 1-ton Dodge and my gooseneck trailer. The gooseneck trailer has electric brakes on it. The truck that I want to put on this probably weighs in the neighborhood of 15,000 pounds, I'm guessing, maybe 14, 15,000, something like that. And this truck will handle it far better and safer than using my 1-ton Dodge. So we're going to dig into it and see what the check engine light is, see what's going on with the speedometer, and see if we can get it fixed so we can go pick up some trucks. So I'm working on my rollback, and it's got a vehicle speed sensor code, and it fails as soon as you turn the key on. I don't know if you can see in here, but this wire right here, this loom, goes right up to here. Let me zoom in on that for you. A little light on the subject. You can see the loom is split. The wire is zip tied in there, but the loom is split, so I'm going to have to cut that out and get a look at it. Alright, so I pulled that wiring loose and I've inspected it where that zip tie was, and it's fine. So the next step is to check the wiring from the vehicle speed sensor, which is this plug right here, plugs in the vehicle speed sensor, to the CPC module. If you don't know where it's at, this is a Freightliner 114 SD. It is behind this trim panel right here, black box, 4 connectors, and what we're looking for is a 3rd connector, and ends up being pin 13 and 14 respectively are these 2 right here. So what we want to do is check the resistance from there to that plug right there, if it'll focus on that plug right there. We're losing our light. So we're going to check each pin, each side of that, to its corresponding wire here with it unplugged. We want to check the resistance. We want less than 3 ohms. I have 3/10 of an ohm on each one. That tells us that we have the ability to carry current from there down to here. So then the next thing is, we'll while it's still unplugged, we'll check continuity between the 2 pins themselves to make sure that somewhere those wires aren't touching. Okay, because that'll screw it up too. But another thing we can do is we can send a load. This is unplugged on both ends. This is just basically a raceway at this point. So we could put a load on this, send it through here, 12 volts, and then plug a light bulb in down here to make sure that that wire has the ability to carry amperage. Now, a vehicle speed sensor only makes a small amount of amperage, so it's not going to take much to verify. Think of it this way. If you have a garden hose, right, you turn it on full blast, think of the water flowing as your amperage. All right, the water itself is the electricity. The amount of water coming out of the garden hose is the amperage. So when you take a garden hose and you restrict it and you fold it over and you slow that down, when you get a bad spot of corrosion, a fray, or where there's just a few strands of the electric left, that's what you're doing. You're taking that hose and you're pinching it off of the electric. So when you take a light bulb and do a test like what I'm telling you, something with a higher amperage draw, so you can test that raceway to make sure that water can flow freely all the way through. That's the whole purpose of doing it. So there's my connector right there. And I need to back probe that. I don't want to go through the front and end up spreading the terminals. So this is my torch cleaning kit.
I know before I've told you guys I'll use MIG wire, you know, but all you really need is something small and, you know, something that's not going to bend on you. I usually choose the smallest ones in the kit, and then I'll just back probe into the connector right here until we touch. And then I want to do, I have it on this side because this is where the batteries are. I'm going to run a negative and a positive and hook it to these and send current over there to the other side. I'll show you that in just a second. Okay, so I have my meter over here and I have my light. So I've sent power. Now I got to tell you, it's very important. If you're going to do this, you have to be sure that that wire only goes from where you're at, where you think it's at the beginning, to where your end is. Because if it goes through another module anywhere and you do what I'm about to do, you could smoke the module and destroy it and cause yourself all kinds of trouble. So it may be just easier to just run a ground through one side. If you ran a ground on one and check that one, and then ran a ground to the other one and check that, you could do that also. But I didn't. I chose to do it this way. So now we're going to hook up my little jumper leads here. And there you go. So that tells us that wire is not only does it have continuity, but it has the ability to hold amperage, to let amperage flow. And I'll let that sit for just a few minutes because that's an 1156 bulb in here. So, you know, it's pulling a decent load. So now we know it's good. We're going to pull this all back apart, and then before we do any plugging back in, we want to go to the other side and remove our jumpers, because we don't want to have that plugged in and have this jumper still in here. So disconnect the negative first completely so it doesn't bounce into something, and then the positive. So there's my back probes. By using these, it didn't hurt my connector at all. Alright, so I've got the vehicle speed sensor out, and I went and got a brand new one from the FREIGHTLINER dealer. I'm going to put some copper anti-seize on this one. It comes in the package. I'm going to bolt it up in here, and then I have to zip tie this wire back up the proper way. So it comes a new bolt, and this is an inverted Torx bit, and my set is an E12. E is an Edward, and you need this because there's not enough room for the head of the bolt to go in here, and there's no adjustment to it. A vehicle speed sensor, if you're not familiar, what it does is create electricity. Basically, this sensor can pick up, it's basically a big magnet, and it creates electricity by the fact that there's this peak and a valley in this ring, and as it passes by this sensor, it creates small spikes of electric. So however fast that's going by there, or however slow, will dictate how close the spikes are. So that's how the computer can determine how fast you're going. So I'm going to get this bolted in here real quick and get that zip tied up. It's just at the FREIGHTLINER dealer. I should have got another switch. I didn't think nothing of it. These are for the work lights. I'm sure I could adapt something to work here, but anyways, you can't tell. Maybe you can. Yeah, the check engine light's out. The ABS light's on because we have a problem with the one wheel speed sensor on the rear axle, but I'm not sure if that was there before and I just didn't pay attention to it or what, but I guess it doesn't matter. It seems to be working just fine now. What it was doing before is the vehicle speed sensor wasn't working, so it would limit power. Didn't know what speed you were at, and so we had a loss of power, but it seems to be doing good now. So I'm gonna go, I'm gonna be needing to use this truck probably tomorrow. I'm not sure. Chuck's coming into town. He's gonna be spending a weekend or so, and I'm not sure what we're going to get into, but I might, if he wants to go along, maybe we'll take Chuck and go pick up another truck.
Alright guys, so that's the end of this one, and we are headed out to go pick up that truck I was telling you about. So if you like what we're doing, give us that thumbs up. If you haven't already, hit that subscribe button. Leave your comments down below. We will catch you on the next one.